Wow. Looked like I had to say all the generic YouTube stuff that every YouTuber ever says. So, I'm gonna skip that part. So, as you can tell, this is another video. Okay? I think that's pretty obvious. I don't know why people always say, welcome to another video, when, well, it's a video. What do you think this is? A photo album? No. Okay? So, also, as you can tell by the title, we're gonna be talking about Twilight. This what is it even now? 17-year book series, because I think the first one came out in 2005 and it's 2022 technically. So yeah, because I finally finished reading the book series, and I wanted to give my opinions on the book. So for starters, this is without me watching 4.5 of the movie, because I've seen half of the first one, and then I watched a good hour or something of it, and then I took a break, and then I never went back to it to this day, and that was about 5 months ago. So that's still on pause. And then I tried to watch it once with my friend Gabby, and I fell asleep. So I've seen parts of the first movie, and then this is also about reading Midnight Sun, which apparently is the first book, but from Edward's point of view instead of Bella's. So, yeah. So, the 4 main books is what I'm going off of, and it's crazy. What the frick did I read? I regret reading it. Now, we're gonna go in order. So the first book, we have Bella moving from Phoenix to Washington, and she meets the Coens. Well, first she meets her friend Jessica, who talks a lot, and Angela, that's her name, Angela, yeah. So she got her friends, and you got Mike, who had a crush on her, and Eric, who likes her, and Tyler, who likes her, and then almost flattens her with his truck. So you have, her group of friends, and she meets the Coens. And just like Jessica, she thinks that the Coens are super weird. Like, why do they exist? And Edward, super weird. She knows how his eyes are different colors. She knows how sometimes they're in school, sometimes they're not in school, how they all just sort of sit at the table like they're zombies, or like they're vampires. And she starts really figuring out what they are. Edward misses the blood lab that they do when they go to find out their blood type in biology or chemistry, whatever science class that is, and I would skip that day, and now it made sense because he would have been tempted by the blood. So Bella really starts figuring it out, putting 2 and 2 together, and then they figure out that they're dangerous, and then it's like, oh, I don't scare you, and she's like, nah, I mean, this is normal. And it's like every girl in these books is like, even though I'm a girl, I'm gonna act like a tomboy. I mean, just think about it. Bella never dresses up. She drives like a 50-year-old truck. And then, just think about every book. You got Katniss, who's a tomboy from Hunger Games. You got Beatrice, or just Trish, from Divergent. Real tomboy. Never dresses up. Even Annabelle or Hermione Granger. Not real girly girls. So I don't know why the female characters in books just can't be girls, and they always have to be tomboys, like that they can hang with guys. But so Bella drives this 50-year-old truck and goes to the baseball game, the 3-on-3 baseball game. For one, that's super cool. And then also that's when James and Victoria and Laurent shows up, at their baseball game. And that's the whole thing when Jane starts tracking Bella, and they do this whole secret hideout and whatever, and then Bella falls for the oldest trick in the book, where Jane uses a voice recording of her mom to get her to go to this dance studio in Phoenix, and then tried to kill her, but, just in the nick of time, Carlisle and Emmett, Edward show up. Alice is there, I believe, as well. They show up, save the day, and stop her from becoming a vampire. And they say she freaking fell down a flight of stairs. as an excuse for why she had about 1,000,000 broken bones. It was great. But, so they dispose of James, and you're like, okay, what's next? Well, we move on to the second book. And Edward and Bella, they're like a couple, they're a thing, and then Edward breaks her heart. You idiot. I would use stronger word, but not going to. You jerk. Breaks up with her. She gets lost in the woods. They find her. And then it is complete depresso espresso from there. She's real upset, real depressed. She got straight A, but she stopped hanging out with her friends. And then she starts hanging out with Jacob. Hanging out with Jacob. And Jacob has always been, like, the best friend to her. And Edward have always been the boyfriend, husband, guy I want to be with, guy I want to date type. So I saw that clear in the first book. But apparently Jacob didn't see that. So they're hanging out. They're doing stupid stuff. Riding motorcycles. She freaking jumps off a cliff. And then Alice sees that. Tries to tell everyone, goes to see if Bella's alive or dead. She's like, oh, I meant to jump off a cliff. And you're like, you jumped off a cliff for fun? Yeah, recreational purposes. Yeah. And so Edward goes to Italy to freaking, ask them to kill him. And then we get this whole thing with the Volturi, the people that uphold the law for the vampires. And Alice and Bella go all the way to Italy just trying to save Edward's dumb neck because he wouldn't wait 2 seconds to see if she was alive or dead. So that almost ended catastrophically. But somehow they get out of that one. And then we move to the third book. And in the third book, that's when we get back to Victoria and Laurent. I don't know why this wasn't tackled in the second book. But no, we're tackling it in the third book. So the Coens came back and they all moved away. And Victoria comes back. And this is where we meet the werewolves and the vampires. And their huge show-off. And we got this huge fight where the vampires and werewolves, they team up. They take on the newborns that Victoria made. All the newborns are going through Seattle and killing all those people there. And then we're like, we're going to have a face-off in this open field where we play baseball. Yeah, just of all places. And then you have Victoria and Edward fighting, and you got Seth the werewolf, or shapeshifter they like to be called. So that happened, they killed Victoria, and Laurent killed earlier, I believe earlier in this book, in the third book. And so, yeah, so that happened, and then happy ending, yeah. And then the fourth book, you're like, what do we need a fourth book for? There is nothing good about the fourth book. The fourth book is awful, okay? They get married, yeah. Honeymoon, don't want to read about it. What was that notification I just got?
Stop recording. View for 8 minutes. Speech
I thought I got a notification. Anyway, so I don't want to read about that honeymoon. So then they come back, right? And she's freaking pregnant. Now, I don't want to read about vampire intercourse, okay? No. I never want to read about it. Oh, God, you don't know how freaking cringy that is. Oh, it's so bad. Anyway, so she's pregnant. Alice had this huge super plan to get them all out of it, because the Volturi coming, because they think a new baby was made, by biting the child and making the vampire valid, but no, it was naturally conceived. So they have to prove to the Volturi. And Alice had this huge super plan. Her and Jasper go away. They recruit all the vampires. You got 500 werewolves. Okay, more like 17. And there's a huge face-off between the Volturi and versus the vampires and the werewolves all staying as one. And it drags so much. I hate it. I guess I'm sort of a person that likes some fighting, okay? I like a good battle. Wherever you go to this series called the Michael Bay series, there's some fighting in there. There's fighting in Percy Jackson. There's a huge wizard, the Wizard War at the end of Harry Potter. And Hunger Games, it's literally 2 fight. Okay, I like fight. I know fighting isn't for everyone. But if you're going to have a 4-book series lead all the way up to just a standoff between Team Bella and Team Volturi. That's it. You're just gonna talk it out. That's it. It literally took me, I think, like an hour and a half to read it on normal speed. It was an audiobook. And it took an hour and a half for them to just talk it out. Like, what the heck? I want some action, okay? I mean, we never really got that good action fight. I want vampires here. I want werewolves there. I want people getting destroyed, okay? We sort of got that with Victoria versus Edward, but I wanted, like, you know, a huge tag team match, basically. I've been a wrestling fan for 10 years. I want, like, Bella and Rosalie doing stuff on one side of this clearing, and I want Carlisle and Jacob doing stuff on the other side, and I want some conclusion, okay? But no, they're just gonna talk it out, and they're like, oh, well, we don't have to put this huge plan in action where we got some fake documents and have to lead the country and all this stuff, but no. So those were the 4 books, I guess a quick summary of it, and what even was the point? Like, this love story between, like, you know, the triangle between Bella, Jacob, and Edward, and it was clear as day from the first book that Edward would, like, for her and Jacob was just her best friend, but it gets real awkward. Like when Edward disappeared, Jacob's like hitting on her and all sorts of stuff, and then you move to the 3rd book and you have this one scene where, you know, Jake goes to kiss her and she freaking breaks her hand trying to hit him in the face for kissing her, and Edward, like, if he ever kisses you again, I'm going to rip his head off, you know, because he's kissing my girl. And she's like, what if I want him to? Well, then he'll be just fine. And then we have an awful scene where basically he forces her to kiss him before he goes shapeshift into a werewolf. Like, what? That's just messed up. That's weird. And when you get to the actual character part, I guess the book. First off, what the heck is Rosalie and Esme for? I think they explained their powers once in the beginning of the 2nd book, or like the 1st book, and they never used them. Like, what even? I forgot what they're for, and I did a Google search, and I could not find what they're useful for at all. They just seem to be like not important to the story whatsoever. Carlisle the doctor, sure, even though he never took a medical class, apparently. I think they said that in the book. That's something. Emma just has monster strength. Jasper makes people feel good, which I guess is okay. Take the tension out of a room. Alec can see the future, which I guess that's helpful. Edward, you know, can read minds, that's cool. But Bella is a mind shield. Yeah, that's great. And then you have Renesmee, or Nezzy, as everyone calls her. So, who can just show you pictures or whatever. I don't get it whatsoever. I'm like, I just started the 2nd Divergent book last night, and I already like the 1st book more than this entire Twilight series combined. Okay, maybe I'm not the target audience since I'm a teenage guy and the main protagonist is a teenage girl, but no, maybe I'm not like the romantic type, even though I read several romance books before. Not the romantic type where you have a love triangle, but what even was this series? I think that's the end of my rant. What was this book series? There's no purpose to this. And maybe stuff in the movies is different because there's always differences between the books and movies. Maybe Midnight Sun clears things up, but I don't get it whatsoever. I don't know why you had this entire trip to Italy. I don't know why you had Edward break up with Bella in the 2nd book just for him to come back. Yeah, that's because what he said, because he would fall in love with her, and he's like, oh, I can't have this happening. And then we constantly have the thing where Bella's trying to have sex with him. Like, what? I don't want to know about that. I don't want to read about that at all. In their honeymoon, that's just the most awkward thing ever. Like, what even was that for? No. And this whole thing where she's possessed to become a vampire, like, who wants to become a vampire? Okay, that's just no. Okay, no. Would she have been better with Jacob? Probably not. But Edward isn't really the guy either, or the vampire either. But it's just stupid. This whole series is stupid. There's no point to it. I'm trying to think, is there anything entertaining about this book series? I mean, the characters aren't that good. I mean, except having their powers. I mean, I guess that'd be cool to read minds and see the future. The overlying story, completely crazy. I still hung up on the 4th book and how I wanted to fight. I think that's just the main thing I'm mad about. If you're gonna write 4 books, at least conclude with a fight. Cause I wanted a fight. I know what Gabby told me there's like someone sees a vision or whatever of a fight happening in the movies, but it didn't happen in the book. But no, I just seen point with that. You spend the 4th book, Bella trying to learn how to use her mind shield to protect everyone she loves, and that's how they say the day. I mean, there's no fight, so could you just use your shield? And they finally just talk it out, and then Alex just comes out of nowhere, these 2 vampires that we've never seen before, and that fixes all the world problems. Great. Also, Arena, the one that saw the baby. Don't be so quick to assume, okay? Because that's how we got into this whole problem. So, Arena, it's your fault. Great, that's what I'm ending with. It's your fault, Arena, and you got killed for it. Yeah.